place where it's experienced a lot of crime and retail crime over the past few years. I want to acknowledge Winston Peters and Casey Costello, ministerial colleagues. And look, we've had a number of announcements this week around the fact that our sentencing laws have come into effect on Sunday. We've also brought in other suggestions, and today what we're talking around is the coward's punch, which is part of the National New Zealand First coalition agreement, which in essence gives an extra year to the sentencing for 2 assault offences, to send a very strong message that society is not going to tolerate this kind of behaviour, a coward's punch where people are coming up and with a single hit changing their lives forever. So Winston Peters will say a few words.
Well, we've been trying for considerable time to ensure that when a coward punch is used, if it's intended, it'll be now 8 years. If it has a very serious effect on the victim, it'll be 15 years, and if it's a death, it'll be culpable homicide. So let's be clear about it. We're not going to go on putting up with that sort of behaviour.
Right, I don't know if there's any questions.
Minister, Paulo Garcia announced a members' bill relating to this in January. What's happening to that now, and why is it taking so long if you were going to adopt similar sort of legislation to announce it now?
Well, because the government's going to take over that bill, and we've decided to take that on as a government bill as per the coalition agreement.
Mr. John-Smith,
Just one thing, we had this similar bill in 2020, and we couldn't get enough support for it, but finally we got there in 2025, so he's very late out of the blocks, so to speak.
So do you think it's overdue then, Mr. Peters?
Oh yes.
What is it about coward's punch that makes it so different and so specific for its own legislation?
Well, it's the level of, cowardice for a start. The victim has no notice, and because of that, the chance of them defending themselves is just impossible. So we want to spell out how unacceptable it is that you behave in that way.
How many coward punches do we have in New Zealand each year, and how big a commission is it?
Well, we don't have an exact number in that regard because the way that the court records are at the moment haven't distinguished them out. But look, there's many instances that we can refer to over the past years that people have been desperately worried about. And what we're doing with this legislation is sending a clear message from Parliament to the courts and to society as a whole that this is something that we won't tolerate, and if you do it, you'll get an extra severe sentence.
with these several announcements that you've made over the past week, it seems there's just going to be more prisoners in prison for longer. Is there the prison system and the justice system to cope with that?
Yes.
Can I answer there?
Yes.
No, not necessarily. If they realise that they will not be getting away with it, then maybe there'll be less people in prison very, very quickly.
And look, the broader thing is, the government made a sincere promise to New Zealanders at the start that we're going to restore law and order. And part of that is about bringing back real consequences for crime. So what we've announced around the tougher sentencing legislation is part of that. It's not the only part of the story. The broader story is also involved with better rehabilitation programs and dealing with some of those broader social issues. But you've got to do both. Previous government was only concerned about the cuddling side. We're much more concerned about sending a strong, clear message.
So with that 36...
I understand that this is going to be combined with the legislation that was announced last night around tougher sentencing on tougher crackdowns on assaults on first responders. Is that correct? And could you just tell us a bit more about how that is going to work together?
Yes, we're going to be introducing a Crimes Amendment Act, which will include what we'd already talked about, extra changes to the self-defence, sort of citizens' arrest laws, so that retailers in particular can defend their property. Also the first responders that we talked about yesterday, today's issue around the coward's punch, and a couple of other things. And so it's all going to be part of a piece of legislation that's designed to keep New Zealanders safe.
And in terms of time frames, when are you hoping to have that passed, and when are you hoping it comes into effect?
By the end of the year.
Well, we'll have it introduced into Parliament before the end of the year and pass well before the election as soon as we can, given the fact we've got an extremely busy parliamentary workload, but we're going to get it through as soon as we can.
What's wrong with existing legislation around assaults, that sort of thing? What's wrong with current current?
Well, the current legislation is clear around assault and assaulting with intent to injure or grievous bodily harm. But what this change will do will add an extra year to the maximum sentence for the coward's punch in two of those roles, and then for where death is concerned, obviously that's a mandatory life sentence. Well,
And plus, we're on the side of the victim. That's another example. We're on the side of the victim, not the offender.
What specific advice has the Ministry of Justice received on the impact on the prison population?
Look, overall, across the changes that we're making in the Crimes Act, there will be an impact on the prison population. We haven't had a precise figure in terms of the numbers. You'll recall at the last budget, we put an extra $1.8 or $1.9 billion into expanding prison capacity. And so we're very confident that we've got the ability to do that. Look, if there are more people in prison in the short term to keep New Zealanders safe, we're comfortable with that. Long term, of course, we want to see fewer people in prison, but that has to follow a drop in crime. And that's, if you strip it all away, what are we trying to achieve? We want to have fewer victims of crime in this country.
But there were those projections that the prison population would increase by 36% by 2035. Is that still accurate in your opinion?
Yeah, well, the latest predictions are that the prison population will continue to increase in the short term. And like I say, we're working very hard to reduce the number of victims of crime, and that will flow through ultimately to fewer people in prison.
Minister, you say too often offenders are getting lenient sentences for coward punches. Can you provide an example? That's been a concern for you.
No, we don't like to talk about specific examples, and we don't want to in any way be seen to be criticising the judiciary over particular examples. So we don't talk about particulars, but what we do talk about is the broad sense that we want to send a clear message that this kind of behaviour, the coward's punch, king hit from behind, is something that we want to send a clear message about.
And one thing, whatever you guys think, society is massively on our side on this matter. They want there to be serious punishment for serious offending.
But is the population, are they experts on the causes of crime?
Well, they're more expert than you are. Okay.
All right.
No, I
Thank you
have
very
one
much.
question for you, Mr. Goldsmith.
Well,
just one more. Just one more.
Penalties for assaults on first responders. A defence lawyer and Labour have both said this is just expanding on existing aggravating factors. How necessary is it actually?
Well, that is the point. It is expanding on existing. At the moment, it's an aggravating factor, but we're making it clearer that there'll be 2 extra years in the mandatory sentence for those 2 occasions. So it's taking another step and sending a clearer, stronger message that these first responders are people who rush towards danger on behalf of New Zealanders, and they should be treated with respect, and we want to send an even clearer and stronger message.
Labour's also said that it won't be an effective deterrent. How confident are you that it will?
Well, the Labour Party are always against any tougher legislation. They're always on the side of the perpetrators of crime, and that's why we had such a mess to fix a year and a half ago when we came into Parliament.
We're expecting some announcements from the Retail Crime Ministerial Advisory Group. Can you give us any taste of what that will entail?
Well, this is one of those announcements today, and we've got a couple more to come. Thank you.
Mr. Goldsmith, if I could ask you about the review of
Last question.
treaty clauses.
Oh,
if I
yes.
may. What progress have you made on that, please?
Well, that's underway. We've appointed a panel of people to give us some initial advice. There's about 20 pieces of legislation that we're looking at to bring clarity around. Over years, we've developed a whole lot of references of a wide variety of phrases that have been interpreted very broadly by some government departments and other places, and so we want to be clear about what we do and what we don't mean, and that process is underway. Thank you.
If they should be there, they'll be there, and if they shouldn't be there, they won't be there. Okay, see you.
There's one more for you.
No,
sir.
we're off.
It's